Blessings, everybody. This is Dale. Thank you so much for joining with me today on the Word Podcast. We're still in Psalm 119. We're about, we'll be halfway through right now, this psalm. Remember, this psalm has 176 verses in it, or verses. And those verses are organized into what we've been calling stanzas. Okay, there's usually 8 verses per stanza. And you've already noticed that quite often these stanzas will have themes. Okay, there will be ideas behind those particular 8 verses. And the one we're about to start is very much like this. And you see it from the get-go in the first verse. Again, it begins with the next letter in the Hebrew alphabet, the Kaf, K-A-P-H, the letter Kaf. Listen what it says in verse 81. My soul languishes for your salvation. I wait for your word. So we're going to see again, the psalmist is writing about the word, about statutes, about the judgment of God, about the law. But what does he say at the very beginning? My soul languishes. And the idea behind that is that he's at the end of a race. He's at the end of something. He's finished. He's spent. He's completed. Okay? He's being consumed. Okay? In other words, I've reached the end. I'm at the end. My soul is at the end for your salvation. Can I say that he's saying he's tired of waiting? Well, perhaps, but it goes far, far deeper than that. Okay? And he's just describing the state of his soul. And this actually sets the feel for this entire stanza. So today I'm just going to read the stanza. We'll go back and discuss it as we've been doing in the next episode. So my soul languishes for your salvation. I wait for your word. Verse 82. My eyes fail with longing for your word. While I say, when will you comfort me? So that's a question in quote. So it's the psalmist saying this to God. When will you comfort me? And he's saying, my eyes, I'm going blind. They're failing me. In waiting for your word, your promise, that's what that word means, is promise. But I'm sitting there saying, how long? When will you comfort me? Verse 83. Though I have become like a wineskin in the smoke, I do not forget your statutes. So you see that he's languishing, that his eyes are failing, that he's waiting, and he's seeking comfort, and he hasn't received any comfort yet. He says, but you know what? I'm not going to forget your statutes. Thing we've seen all the way through this psalm. What does it mean when he says, I become like a wineskin in the smoke? I don't know. I haven't researched it. I may before the next episode. But I think it's the idea, hey, I'm becoming like a wineskin that has been thrown in the fire and is going up in smoke. Okay, verse 84. How many are the days of your servant? When will you execute judgment on those who persecute me? Oh, so now we're getting some insight into why he's languishing, why he's wanting comfort, what is happening to him. He's undergoing persecution. We've seen this. Enemies have come against him. As a matter of fact, he's going to use some of the same phraseology in just a couple of verses. But the enemies have come against, and they're persecuting. And he's saying, God, how long? How long? And he's asking God, how long are the days of your servant? Lord, how long am I going to live? Have you ever felt like that? How long am I going to live? How much longer do I have to put up with this? Verse 85. The arrogant have dug pits for me, men who are not in accord with your law. So there it is. We've seen these arrogants. We've seen these that have come against him, trying to set him up, trying to do things. And he's reminding God again, God, this is what they've done. Verse 86, all your commandments are faithful. They have persecuted me with a lie. Help me. So we've seen this in several of the verses in these various stanzas in this psalm, where he's crying out to the Lord, and he will cry out and say something, then he will declare that the Lord's faithful. This thing. Here he says at the very beginning of this verse, all your commandments are faithful. He's saying, God, I know you're faithful. Everything you've commanded is faithful. But you know what? They've persecuted me. These folks are persecuting me, and that persecuting means that they're pursuing me. They're running after me. They're following me. It's just like they're giving me a hard time. It's like being given chase to a dog. They're coming after me, and they're persecuting me with lies. That word lies means deception, disappointment, falsehood, lies. They're lying about me to other folks. And then just this simple declaration, just this simple thing, help me. Help me. Now, the psalmist who's writing this, he's asked for things like this, but there's something about the shortness of this, something about the way that he set it up that you can just hear it as a cry. It's nearly childlike, particularly when you look at what the Hebrew word for help is right here, azar. It means to help. It means to support. Yeah, all that. It means to succor. S-U-C-C-O-U-R, succor. In the same way that a baby does with his mother to receive sustenance. God, help me. I need help. Well, what kind of help? Well, the fact that they're persecuting him, the fact that they're lying about him, the fact that they're coming against him. Well, what level was all this? The next verse gives us some insight into it. Verse 87, they almost destroyed me on earth. They almost destroyed me, and the translation could also be in the earth. They almost took me out. They almost killed me. This is how serious it is. This is how aggressive the persecution and the attack was. He said, God, they almost destroyed me on earth, but as for me, I did not forsake your precepts. So notice, he didn't forget your statutes, he says. I didn't forget your precepts. Even in the midst of all this, he's saying, God, I haven't given up. I have not succumbed to this. So will you please help me? And I think we quite often find ourselves in these kind of situations. Sometimes we think, well, I don't want to bother God. Please get over that. God's unbotherable. Okay? Don't worry about that. But we don't turn to him. We don't turn to him because we think he's not doing something, or he hasn't moved when we wanted him to, or things are still happening. No. Do this. Remember. Declare to the Lord, Lord, I haven't forgotten your precepts. Lord, I haven't forgotten your law. Lord, I have not forgot your statutes. Now, last verse 88. Revive me according to your loving kindness. So he's asking him for help, but he's asking him, he said, will you please revive me? And remember that word, we looked that up quite a while back, and it's translated all through the Hebrew scripture. I mean, just dozens and dozens and dozens, hundreds of times. It means, and it's from a root word, which means to live. To live. Give me life. And then it's translated to nourish, preserve me, heal me, okay? Repair me. Give me recovery. Give me survival. And these are all ways that this word is translated. I'm reading a long list right here. Isn't that amazing? Lord, revive me according to your loving kindness. There it is, Hesed. And here's why, the last part of verse 88, so that I may keep the testimony of your mouth. Yeah, the psalmist is asking this for himself. Yeah, sure. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to be destroyed off the earth. But he's saying, God, will you please do this? And will you do this to where I can continue being the testimony of your mouth? You ever think about that? That everything that we say, everything that we do is going to testify of something. It's going to testify of the mouth of the Lord, or it's going to testify of everything else. Either my mouth or the mouth of the enemy. Which mouth do we want to be? Well, again, I'm Dale. Thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.